I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. There's a lot going on in the Middle East this week. For example, the Obama administration, using backdoor intelligence channels, has secretly warned Emir Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani that he risks losing 3 big American bases located in the emirate if he persists in promoting Iran's radicalizing influence over Syria, Lebanon, and the Palestinians. This is the man, by the way, who owns the Al Jazeera news agency and television station in Qatar. An American military withdrawal from the emirate, especially the big Al-Doid Air Base and Central Command headquarters, would be a crushing blow to Al Thani. It would leave Qatar and the rest of the Gulf unprotected in any military conflagration in the region over Iran's nuclear program. The threat was underlined by Qatar's boycott of U.S. presidential envoys, Defense Secretary Robert Gates and Dennis Ross, when they traveled through the Gulf region in the first week of May. He wouldn't let them in his country. Emir Al Thani was sufficiently alarmed to take steps, one of which was to direct the news editors of Al Jazeera TV station, which he owns, to adjust the anti-American line of its English and Arabic language broadcasts. Washington sources report that the Obama administration is determined to strip Tehran of its regional support and so weakening its bargaining position in their forthcoming diplomatic talks. Well, meanwhile, Egypt has finally decided to block Hamas arms smuggling. Egypt has deployed 600 commandos in civilian garb into the northern Sinai town of Al-Arish and the divided Gaza town of Rafah for its first serious effort ever to cork up the hundreds of Hamas arms smuggling megatunnels into the Gaza Strip. Israel's 3-week Gaza operation tripled the underground system before it ended in January. But because the Egyptian end was wide open, as soon as Israeli troops quit the territory, Hamas diggers were back at work. They managed to rearm with tons of explosives, dozens of rockets, hundreds of mortar shells, and dozens of anti-tank missiles. Now, for the first time, chances are good for severing the subterranean lifeline feeding the Hamas arsenal, which blasted southern Israel for 8 years, a high-ranking Israeli security officer commented. And that includes the smuggling tunnels running under the Philadelphia border corridor. Quote, if Cairo had done this 3 years ago, he said, Iran might never have been able to move in on the Hamas-ruled Gaza Strip or spread its wings into Egypt's territory. The sector between Al-Arish and Rafah has been declared an off-limits military zone. Vehicles going in and out are searched by Egyptian commandos, whether trucks, carts, camels, or donkeys. This leaves the tunnels snaking into Gaza with no arms to smuggle. Egyptian intelligence officers summoned the tunnel owners of the Al-Arish and Rafah clans and warned them sternly that their gun running is over. However, Sinai Bedouin chiefs were handed hefty cash grants to stop the arms smugglers from transiting their territories. Here's another article. According to Iranian sources, U.S. journalist Roxana Saberi was released last Tuesday, May 12th, as part of an exchange deal under which Washington agreed to free 4 senior Iranian Revolutionary Guard intelligence officers captured in Erbil, northern Iraq, in January of 2007. Defined as diplomats by Tehran, they ran terror operations and covert arms supplies from Iran then to Al-Qaeda and Sunni insurgents networks. The Obama administration will also release to Tehran information on the fate of the Iranian diplomat who disappeared in Pakistan 4 months ago. U.S. and Pakistani officials claimed at the time he was kidnapped by the Taliban, tortured, and executed, while Tehran insisted that he was captured and is still held by U.S. Special Forces because of his ties with al-Qaeda. The 4 Iranian agents captured in Abril have not yet been freed, but Iranian and Iraqi sources say that it will happen soon. The date depends on Tehran satisfying Washington's demand for information on the former FBI agent Robert Levinson, who has never been heard from since the time he disappeared on the Iranian island of Kish in March of 2007. On April 23rd this year, Mohammed Hossein Agassi, the Iranian lawyer for the Levinson family hired to trace him, said he believes the missing American is alive and held at a secret location in Iran. A lot of things going on over there. Now, here in the United States, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair told Congress on Thursday, that's yesterday, that there is no workable alternative to a two-state solution to the long and bloody conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, and both sides are in favor of it. But in practice, he said, they doubt it can happen. This is what he told the Foreign Relations Committee of our Senate only yesterday. He said, quote, the opportunity is there, and he said, and by the way, he's the international negotiator for the Middle East on behalf of the United Nations, the United States, the European Union, and Russia. He said, quote, but it won't remain if not seized. As President Obama has recognized, this is the right time to seize it. The best way to go, he said, is to try to make clear to the Palestinians that negotiations will result in genuine statehood, and to the Israelis that there can be an agreed program for reform of the Palestinian security sector. On the Israeli side, he said Israel will not agree to a Palestinian state unless it knows that its neighbor will be secure, stable, and well-governed. You know what Israel's afraid of, don't you? Like Gaza, the Palestinian Hamas brought in truckloads of rockets and set them off over the past 8 years into Israeli territory. Well, can you imagine what would happen to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv if only, and from Tel Aviv, 8 miles, 10 miles at most, into this area called Ramallah, the Palestinians could quickly set up missile launchers again and be pounding Tel Aviv and pounding Jerusalem as well. So Israel is willing to have a Palestinian state, but they would like to know there will be security. Well, according to the book of Ezekiel, a Palestinian state will be established, and the city of Jerusalem will be divided. According to chapter 42 and verses 15 through 20, a wall will be built to make a separation between the Muslim mosques and the Jewish sanctuary. So, perhaps this could be that covenant in Daniel 9:27 that is made, a 7-year covenant, into 3.5 years of which the covenant will be broken by the Antichrist, and the abomination of desolation will be committed. So it's possible that the Palestinians will agree to the Israelis, and the Israelis will agree with the Palestinians that the land should be divided and that there should be a Palestinian state. Well, it could happen soon. According to Tony Blair, it needs to happen soon. And according to King Abdullah of Jordan, if it doesn't happen soon, there will either be peace this year or war next year. Wow. I'm J.R. Church. We'll see you again Monday with our analysis of the news.